Welcome to Young Startup Talent in a Dragon's Den Style 2014. Held here at the heart of the Gatwick Diamond, 5 young entrepreneurs will pitch against 12 leading businessmen and women for their chance to take hold of the investment of £50,000 worth of business products and services to help them take their business to the next level. Making up the Gatwick Diamond Dragons for 2014 is award-winning design and marketing agency, Creative Pod's director and co-founding partner of Young Startup Talent, Matt Turner. Founding partner of Young Startup Talent and director of leading PR agency in the Southeast, Media Wordwaves, Lorraine Nugent. New to the Den this year, but with 25 years experience in banking and heading up the corporate lending business in the Southeast of England for RBS, Daryl Gaylor. Editor-in-Chief of Sussex Newspaper Group and award-winning journalist and former countryside columnist for the Sunday Express, Gary Shipton. Serving as a partner for over 20 years in the litigation department and chairman of Mayo Wynne Baxter Solicitors, Dean Orgill. Also new to the Den is Vice President for the UK within Thales Global Avionics Business and a member of the Thales UK Management Board, Peter Hitchcock. Peter leads Thales Crawley site, which employs over 2,500 staff across 3 global businesses. Crawley-based accountancy firm Richard Place Dobson's director, Matthew Tyson. Matthew has been an intrinsic part of the judging panel since the inception of Young Startup Talent 4 years ago. HR business partner for British Airways, Gatwick, Jane McGill. Jane has a passion for people and their development. This will be Jane's 3rd year on the judging panel.
First into the Den is 18-year-old Ashley Reagan with her new fragrance concept, set to wow the judges.
Hi, my name's Ashley Reagan and my business is Michelle Fragrances. I started working in Boots on the fragrance department and realised that people often found it difficult to choose between different fragrances. This is how I came up with the idea for Michelle Fragrances. It's a mix and match concept for fragrance, so they can select any of the 3 fragrances they like from the Michelle range and we will collaborate them into a single unit made up of 3 individual 10 millilitre bottles. My 6 initial fragrances that I'm going to create will provide a large number of combinations for the mix and match. Each fragrance will have an individual Italian name associated with it. In the first year, I expect to make a profit of around £13,000. This is based on the research I did where I discovered that generally, on average, the big fragrance brands make a 95% profit for each fragrance they sell. So it's a large profit margin for selling fragrance. In 5 years' time, I see myself having a stand in large department stores such as Debenhams and Boots, and I believe that this will help me to gain regular customers that will come in time and time again for the perfume that they like and the perfume that they know their loved ones like. In addition to this, I will be expanding my current website that I've got, and I will be allowing customers from not just within the UK but abroad to purchase fragrance online. Thank you for listening.
Could you just talk me through where 1 or 2 of your cost figures come from?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got fragrance cost in there, £1,200 in January,
Yeah.
£1,200 in April. Where'd you come up with the number from?
So basically I got in touch with some fragrance manufacturing companies such as Phoenix Fragrances, and they told me how much they would charge per litre, and it was £40 per litre.
Okay. And when you're selling, I guess you're mixing as well as selling. If people buy, you're going to be choosing the 3 from 6 as well.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be able to do it on your own, or do you think you'll need someone to help you?
I'm going to hire someone to help me with that, but I did think about having like a machine of some kind that will do the measuring out for me, but then I thought that it would make it more interactive for customers to see all the measuring out being done and all the pouring.
Ashley, 5 years' time, you get into Debenhams.
Yeah.
I find that fragrance hall extremely intimidating as a man. It's full of orange ladies, all trying to sell hundreds of different fragrances at different prices. How are you going to get your brand to stand out amongst all of those other big names, from Armani to Gucci to Prada? How are you going to stand out in such a saturated plastic marketplace?
I'm going to stand out because none of the other current fragrance brands on the market have actually had an idea where you can choose the 3 fragrances and actually, you know, you can choose the 3 and put it into one. So in addition to that, you know, you're not paying for the high price of you're not paying for the name essentially, you're paying for the 3-in-1 fragrance, and essentially you do get 3 fragrances for the price of an average single one from other brands.
You've done some great research here, but
Thank you.
what further research have you got planned to test out the actual fragrances themselves and the packaging?
I'm planning on calling up Phoenix Fragrances, like I mentioned again, and I've said I'll get in touch with them again, and I'm going to go along to their where they manufacture their fragrance and select the ones I like, the ones I think people will like. I'm going to carry out a couple more surveys that are more specific to the scent that people like, and I'm going to select the fragrances based on that.
Up next is 16-year-old Henry Rogers with an exciting concept never before seen in the den.
Good evening. My name is Henry, and my business is blacksmithing. I design and manufacture all of these items, and I started blacksmithing when I was 13. I did a City and Guilds welding course after school, and then from that I proactively introduced myself to Plumpton College, which were offering taster days after school, and so I did 2 of those, and then I got taught the basics of what you see here. I believe I did that on the taster day. And from there, I contacted a blacksmith who has supported me throughout all of my projects. That was the gate that I've currently just installed, which came after a client from a family friend, and they all seemed interested in what I was doing. I saved up enough money to buy enough materials, equipment and tools so I could produce this work, and so from there I've found that they particularly like heart hooks, and from my experience it's grown into a passion and an addiction, I'd say, because all I want to do is after school and weekends I do blacksmithing. After school, because I'm currently in 6th form, I hope to establish the brand and reputation of hot iron. After the Plumpton College taster days, I found out that this was definitely something I wanted to do as a career, and maybe go into either working for myself as a company or for someone else. And I hope to continue building the brand and reputation after I finish school, and still carrying on with the education side of the blacksmithing and blacksmithing as it is. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to any questions you may have.
Where do you make this?
I created all of this and designed it at my house after buying the forge and equipment.
Okay. So how much did the forge cost you?
It cost me £100 from an online store.
I think we would all recognise some awesome talent involved.
Would you like to see some of the...
Well, by all means, yes, please. As you're doing that, perhaps you can ponder, as I said, there's clearly awesome talent involved in the blacksmithing. Why do you want to do it for a business? You're a talented blacksmith. We are looking at helping people to launch a business. There are different skills and requirements and sometimes difficulties in running a business. Do you want to take that on?
Yeah.
Or do you just want to be a blacksmith, which, as I say, clearly you have a talent for?
I'd like to establish the brand and work for myself as a blacksmith, and later on maybe employ a few more blacksmiths and try and kind of get a few more stalls. Or
I love the
Yeah.
bracelet.
So does
How
James.
did you... I want it. It's mine. Can you tell me how did you make that? When what was...
My sister was cleaning out a room and found this old fork and went, Henry, what can you do with this? So I had a bit of a think about it and then managed to just kind of formulate an idea of what I was going to do with it. And then, as you can see, it's been silver dipped to give it a nice finish.
It looks amazing.
Did you silver dip it yourself?
No, I sourced that from another company.
Okay.
But since selling the gate, that's enabled me to buy more equipment.
Henry, for someone who's 16,
Yeah.
I think you are a true inspiration.
Thank you.
For what you've created, you know, your artistic vision, and also your commercial sort of nuance in terms of driving your little business forward. But to make it go up to that next level,
Yeah.
how are you going to market yourself? How are you going to tell everybody how fantastic you are?
Well, currently I'm designing a website to try and so I can I've produced business cards and other equipment so I can promote my business further.
So if I went into the the operations of some of your competitors, so I guess Julian Raff is the aspirational one for you,
Yeah.
in terms of where you'd like to take the business. What would they be doing differently? What would their setup look like?
Well, I believe he's doing it full time, 9 till 5, I believe, and although he has a fully established brand and contacts, that is something I'd like to aspire to and develop as a business.
What's your bestseller?
Probably the heart hooks, but I do see the fork bracelet as being.
I think that's...
Well, that's got masses of scope
Yeah.
with all
And it
sorts
must
of
cost you
different
pennies
things.
to make that
Yeah.
full bracelet.
I source them all of the forks from charity shops.
Wow.
Keep
So it's
down
green,
costs.
it's recycling.
Yeah.
You should be really proud of yourself, Henry. You've done extremely well. Well done.
Yeah, thank
Fantastic.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
– 21-year-old Alex Redfern rolls into the den ready for his pitch.
Hello everyone.
Hi.
How are we all?
Good. How are you?
Super. I'm okay, I think. My name is Alex Redfern. My company is Permit Skateboards. My company is a company that makes bespoke skateboards. Predominantly, I make skateboards for customers, and I also make standard skateboards as well. I'll have a standard selection of boards for people to buy. My boards, people can choose what shape they would like their boards, which is actually quite a unique selling point, because not other many companies have the choice of what their board will finally be. Another good point about my product is the fact that you can choose if you'd like carbon fibre or fiberglass inside the board. This one here actually has carbon fibre inside the board. You can just about see it in between the layers. If you would like to, at the end of the show, I'll give you it and you can have a little look. My skateboards are made to last, and they are bespokely made, and the finish of them I try to give a top quality finish. The customers can choose the finish they would like. They can have it stained, they can have it painted, they can have graphics put on the bottom. Basically, the customer gets the final word on what the product is. My business eventually will be able to go into a skate shop where I'll be able to sell my products as well as a range of other products from the skateboarding culture. For instance, skateboarders always need new shoes, and they always like to wear the latest fashion, so I will also stock all the skateboarding branded clothing. I will also make skateboard ramps. I'll be able to make them to the customer's size they require, so that the customer can order a skateboard and order a ramp if they'd like to as well, and away they go. Eventually, my business will go into the retail side, where I can sell other products as well, like trucks and wheels, so that not only can you just buy a board and a ramp, you can also buy the complete package. My dream is to one day build a skate park, and hopefully through my company I'll be able to build my skate park. And with my skate park, I'll be able to charge entry fees, so I'll be able to generate another income for the company. And I will also be able to hold events there where I can publicise my own brand as well as other brands that are there. And also it can be used for renting out for birthday parties for young children.
Alex, I really like your ambition. I think, you know, the aspiration of where you'd like to take the business and your dream, I think, is fantastic. The bit that worries me a little bit is just around some of the numbers.
Right.
So, you know, looking at your board revenues, about £100 a board, which I think is what the price is, isn't it? If you add in the carbon fibre, that's 4,200 units. And, you know, that's sort of 10 a day. And you're saying around constraints with one press, so you're going to have to buy more kit, but there's no additional expenditure in here for tools and equipment. So how are you going to get to the stage where you're sort of generating that kind of revenue without some additional investment in some sort of kit or some additional capex?
If you actually look in, year one, if you go down to tools and equipment, start of the year, £70 represents the cost of making a new mould, and I'll be able to use that with a couple of clamps to just slowly make one board each. But as you go further through the year, I've gone up to £200, which then spends on getting tools for making a new press so I can put more boards in at once. If you go into year two, I then go on and spend, where is it? Tools and equipment, another £300, which I hope to use that to make a second press, so then I can keep putting more boards in and always have boards on the go.
The prices that you've got here around the on about page 3 of your business plan, they're just the board as that is there. What about all the wheels and stuff that goes on it? Is there a cost? How do I get the wheels attached?
As I make the skateboards, I don't actually make the wheels and I don't have the materials to make these things. Yeah. So for the time being, if a customer needs wheels and trucks and things like that, I can outsource that. I have a few people who I can contact who can get me discount prices for a bundle.
And how long would your boards last?
I have actually, the first board I made for myself, and it's still standing now, 3 years on,
right.
Which for skateboards, they generally last, if you're lucky, 6 months.
Okay.
Matt mentioned your establishing your brand and your reputation. Firstly, why permit?
Why permit? Well, because you've got to permit skateboards, really, haven't you? People try and stop people from skating, and I think it's
so it's
short,
permit
it's
rather than permit, is it?
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
I just said that's what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay. And just one word of warning: if you do move into clothing, that brand is already registered for clothing by someone else.
Is it really?
So look before you leap in terms of producing a clothing range.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
You too.
Only just 16, our youngest ever finalists are duo Freddie Seagrave and Lewis Harvey with their new clothing range.
Hello.
Hi guys. I'm Freddie Seagrave.
And I'm Lewis Harvey.
And together we are Lord Clothing. So Lord Clothing is a brand predominantly aimed at a teenage target audience, as we feel this is the optimum target market for our fashionable and colourful clothing. Now, as sad as it is, Lord Clothing originated from a gaming clan that I was in over 2 years ago. We felt that as we integrated ourselves in several gaming communities, we needed to formulate an identity for ourselves. So from there on, we created the original Lord logo that you can see on the document in front of you and on our t-shirt here. As you may be wondering why we are trying to infiltrate a market that is dominated by brands such as Superdry and Hollister, and that it may be very difficult to do so. We have decided that, judging on research through Facebook, businesses such as Hype have succeeded through social networking such as Facebook and Twitter, having over 330,000 likes on Facebook alone. They also have their products being sold in a worldwide clothing store, Topman. We believe that by following this route, we can infiltrate the clothing market. I would now like to pass over to Lewis, who will talk more about our marketing schemes.
It's a well-known fact that currently e-commerce is becoming more and more popular, with more people shopping on Amazon and eBay every day. Also, it's a well-known fact that over 1.5 billion people have a Twitter and Facebook account, making it one of the most popular worldwide phenomenons. Therefore, we think if you can marry the two together, it must be an instant success. However, we realise that's not quite the truth, and a lot of hard work will have to go into this. Currently, we promote our business through the medium of social media, with thriving Twitter pages and Facebook pages. We currently have a website, which domain is lordclothing.bigcartel.com. We currently have 11 products advertised to our customers on there. We also have a source on our website called the Lord Wall, where customers who have purchased our products can take a picture of them wearing it, and with their full consent, we post their picture for other customers to view who is buying our products. However, this is something we'd like to address. We'd like to obtain our own domain in order to move forward. We feel this would be best, as it would give us more personality and set us apart from the Big Cartel group. In the recent weeks, we have managed to gain a male model who, as you can see in our business plan on page 9, I think it is, has modelled for us recently. Also, we would like to gain more sales. This is a big target for us, as this will help us move forward as a business. Also, we would like to gain we'd like to build a name for ourselves. We'd like to expand our fan base. By doing this, I think we can do this through social media, such as Twitter, which I think is our predominant sort of social media output.
Why more than one brand? Why not stick with one core brand? Why confuse people with these different lords?
Well, we feel like we are not trying to overload with lots of different designs, but we feel that by using maybe 1 or 2 logos, we can appeal to a wider range of people, as we have had a very 50-50 response as to which logo people prefer.
May I feel your quality?
Yeah, bring it.
Sure.
There you go.
Thank you.
Feel free to pass it around. We're aiming to get high quality as well, so.
I really like your presentation, as Matt said. I thought very, very professional, very slick, well thought through, clearly communicated, short, sharp, punchy. Fantastic.
Yep.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. As I look at this, you are not going to compete with a Superdry or a Hollister or a brand of that type because of the amount of spending that they've got. So you've got to have a different angle to it, and if you're not printing it and the designs aren't particularly eye-catching in terms of style, it's all about the quality of that logo, really. That is your USP, because you're not producing them yourselves. So I think you've really got to think through how you promote that and what your target market is, and maybe you do want to focus around a subset like maybe the gaming community.
That's something we would consider. We are fairly unclear as to our target market. We just know that we're going for a sort of teenage target market, as we feel they're most involved in the kind of fashionable, colourful clothing.
Yeah.
And we'd like to move into kind of methods such as full sublimation, where you can get images all over your shirt, so we can address a wider target audience.
The clothing falls, like t-shirts, falls into 2 categories. You've either got the very highly branded, which you can sell at a premium price, and the rest just sells as cheaply as possible, and there's no margin in it at all. How are you going to tackle that? You say in your business plan that you've got no unique selling point.
Well, we'd like to go, our unique selling point in effect, as Lewis has said, we'd like to effectively be in the middle of those two. We'd like to have as cheap prices as possible by using bulk purchases, but also maintaining that high quality. So we want to meet both ends of the market.
Ultimately, this is all about the brand, isn't it?
Yeah.
There isn't anything else. You're buying in your t-shirts, you're publicising the brand and then selling them on. You mentioned you looked at the legal considerations, and you mentioned in your presentation that there was a bit of a problem with the name.
We do.
And you mentioned in your business plan a bit of a brick wall. Lord Clothing is already owned by somebody else.
Well, what we'd like to do, because we're not sure how kind of concrete this is, we'd like to perhaps gain contact with the people who have the trademark. We are familiar with another Lord Clothing, we'll see if it is them, but they seem to have been out of business for 2 or so years. So that's the glimmer of hope. But other than that, we have many other possibilities in terms of name. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
for
much.
the opportunity. Thank you.
Tech-savvy university graduates Peter Ross and Nathaniel Hill are last into the den.
Good evening. My name is Nathaniel Hill and I'm a 21-year-old finance graduate from Crawley.
Good evening. My name is Peter Ross. I'm also a Crawley resident. I'm business management, went to the same university. We're working with our developer, Nick Jackson from Horsham, to create an application called Site.ac.
So Site.ac is essentially a cloud-based academic reference generator and management system. So essentially students and academics can log on to create and store and share references to then eventually export them into the end of their essay for their reference list. We came up with Site.ac in quite a cliche manner when we were sat in our Pete's university room and we were just complaining about writing essays, and in particular Harvard referencing. We were just like, we need to solve this, and that's how Site.ac was born.
So one of the worst aspects of being an academic and writing academic papers is formatting Harvard referencing, as Nat said. You've got to take information, bibliographic information, you've got to make it look like that, and that causes a lot of problems.
And as you can see, there are a huge variety of different styles. So those are only 3 of the same journal, and there could be thousands of different with subtle differences. And if you get that wrong, you will lose marks in your essay.
In these examples, you have stuff like the DOI number on some of the references, but not on all of them. The problem is when you're looking through journals, it might not be, the DOI number might not be published on each page. So the regular solution is for students to just go on the internet and find that information themselves. We are just taking that barrier, and we're just, instead of them going to Google, they will come to us to find this information, which is where we created our ISBN search feature. Instead of having to search through ISSNs or ISBNs, essentially all the person has to do is either insert that information or type the author's name, and they'll be able to quickly direct which book they're looking at or which journal. And from that, they'll be able to just, all of that information has been stored on our servers, and they'll just be able to grab that straight into their lists.
We do have an absolute dream of helping the Gatwick Diamond to become a real technology hub. Having both spent time doing work experience in Shoreditch and on the Silicon Roundabout, it just became obviously clear how amazing it was to work with such creative people and be surrounded by such incredible companies. So we're really keen to help bring the tech hub back to Crawley and the Gatwick Diamond.
So where are we with the company? Currently we're in alpha stage, which for non-software people would mean that we're just testing. We're locally testing actually with friends. But we're planning to expand this, and with the first 6 months, for the first 5 to 6 months, we're hoping to grow this alpha testing stage to 50 people. Having 50 people simulating traffic and working with them direct.
Thank you very much for listening to our pitch.
If you have any questions.
Yeah.
As someone who had to reference by actually reading the physical journals and write it down, so it was easy to find out where they were because you had the book in front of you, can you help me understand what it is that you are providing? Are you providing the method by which somebody accesses a database elsewhere, so a route, if you like,
yep.
Or are you amalgamating databases together to help people access them? I'm just not quite with what it is that you are providing.
Okay, in layman's terms,
Oh, please keep it as simple as you possibly can.
Okay, so you're at university, and most university students are going to be doing their work in the library. So you've got 3 things. You've got your phone, your tablet, your laptop, and you've got your university computer. What we do is we allow you to firstly put that information into your Site.ac account. So on a very fundamental level, we're a reference generator. There's lots of them about, but that's one of the core aspects. You take an ISBN number, or you can just, if you know the information already, you could just type it straight into our system if you're so inclined. And what you do is you put that information in there, and then it's stored onto our database. Now, from that, you can output to any one of the thousands of guides that we eventually will support. And that's the core feature. So essentially, it's not amalgamating anything really. It's more about storing that information in lists that you can use later, as it were.
I get it, and I understand why. And in your plan, you say you've not monetised it at all. My questions really revolve around how much do you think you can make out of this, and how much would you want to make out of it? And whilst I understand why you haven't monetised this and thought where your revenue is going to come from, you must have at least thought about some of the options. So can you just sort of talk us through how you might market that, or how you might generate revenue from this?
In terms of monetisation options, from an early stage we thought that freemium model would be quite good, which essentially means we can give away free accounts, which will be relatively limited. However, if you wanted to pay for the entirety of the features, you would pay like a subscription.
Right.
And obviously there is the option
So
of...
the customer is a student each time?
A student, yes. But then again, obviously we could sell university-wide licenses.
I do have a son at university who is consistently complaining about the length of time it takes to pull all this kind of stuff together. So I get that there's a need and there's a market there, and clearly you've been there and you've experienced that yourself. So I think that bit's a huge tick. The other two firms you mentioned, are they doing something exactly the same, but they're just not marketing themselves, or have you come up with something that's going to be sort of revolutionary and different, which is why the students might get a bit more excited than perhaps they've done before?
A USP.
I'm really excited you asked that. One of the big features is that these pieces of software that our universities subscribe to just aren't being used, and one of the big reasons is their user interface. They designed it in the year 2000 and they haven't updated it since. These are awfully stodgy programs. We've got two niche. We've actually got two sections of competitors that we roughly classify as online and offline competitors. Our online competitors are a little bit more appy and a little bit more cloud-based. But one of the big problems with them is they're not using the breadth of the guides. They're not understanding that students need to get them right 100% of the time.
If you need access to all of those things, you can go and buy that company because then they'll give you their database.
Yep.
But you're going to have to take a business judgment about how much data you need to buy up front or how much access before you can sell it to anybody. Or are you going to charge people pay as you go and just have a pass-through? What is the cost? I understand the monetisation a bit in the future. What's your cost base and where is your start-up capital? Because you can pay as you go for server farms and all sorts of other stuff. You're going to have to buy something to make something.
Well, in terms of the ISBN database that we'll be querying, we can pay either as you go, as in we pay per ISBN, or we can buy a lot up front.
You've forensically looked at the prize fund and what you do with each part of it.
Yep.
What bit is the most important to you? I mean, why do you want to win young startup talent? Where can we most help you?
I think for me, it's as I discussed about kind of our CSR and wanting to be involved with the Gatwick Diamond. I think that the support that will be brought from that and being able to work with all the companies that are giving the prize, I think that for me is absolutely brilliant. I think it would be great to be able to network and work with those people. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us.
Okay. All right.
Cheers.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
An exceptional group of young entrepreneurs have passed through the den for another year in the Gatwick Diamond. All those that take part go away with business connections, experience and enhanced knowledge to go on to develop a business. One will take away the £50,000 prize fund to invest in their own business. On behalf of the Young Startup Talent team, I'd like to thank all of our sponsors and judges who have made this initiative possible. Their support has been able to inspire hundreds of young entrepreneurs to make their dreams a reality.